TEMA Talk is a BS-free zone with smart, funny and educational conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners sharing their stories and insights designed to help you succeed. The result is a video vault of wisdom, strategies and tactics on how to grow your business by increasing revenue, reducing costs and amplifying your market share. Welcome to TEMA Talk, the B2B show created to help entrepreneurs and CEOs succeed. Here is your host, business growth architect and founder of TEMA, Carl M. Gibbons.
Hello and welcome to another edition of TEMA Talk. Now, it is my very special pleasure today to introduce style and image consultant and style maven and founder of Style Matters International, journalist and broadcaster, Cheryl Lampard. Now, when Cheryl starts to speak, some of you may have a little bit of a deja vu and think, well, that sounds a bit familiar. Well, Cheryl also does the voiceover for our brand new opening, which I hope you all like. But for over 20 years, Cheryl has worked with some of the world's leading multinational corporations, helping individuals to recognise that their image is your brand. Cheryl and her team empower their clients to give a positive and lasting impression before they even speak. And some of her clients are not who you would expect. I'm looking at a list here. Now, we've got the ones that you would expect, Saks Fifth Avenue, Tiffany's, lots of the major fashion brands. But what about Right Management, HSBC Banking Corporation, BP, British Petroleum, and Merrill Lynch? Not who you would expect initially in your introduction, right? Well, one of her clients described working with Cheryl is like having your very own Mary Poppins. Well, I can attest to that. We'll come clean in a little bit, right? Cheryl was the 3-term president of the Florida chapter of the Worldwide Association of Image Consultants International. She's a member of the International Federation of Image Consultants and holds the International Makeup Association's diploma from the London School of Beauty and Makeup. She's one of a very exclusive group of only 50 people throughout the world to hold certification in the 12-tone of personal colour analysis system and was recognised by the Munsell Institute, who set the world standard in colour communication. She was a consultant and advisor on the Dresses of Princess Diana exhibition, and she's also active with the Look Good, Feel Better women's cancer charity, to which she donates all her professional services. Now, Cheryl and her work have been featured extensively in the media. Florida Weekly named her one of their annual Power Women, and she's been a contributing editor to Gulf Shore Life magazine now for over 10 years. She's made numerous appearances on TV, including coverage of 2 royal weddings, making her a go-to expert in all matters of style and image. But more important than that, and I've got to come clean, full disclosure here, she's also Mrs. Gibbons, but not a lot of people know that, so don't tell everybody. Anyway, Cheryl, welcome to TEMA Talk.
Thank you very much, Carl, or Mr. Gibbons. Should I call you that?
No. I know when I'm outnumbered. I know when I'm on a back foot. Now,
very good.
Cheryl, what's a style and image consultant?
Well, the short answer is a style and image consultant enhances and upgrades the personal appearance by an individual, either personal or professional appearance consistent with their goals, what they want to achieve. That's the short answer.
Okay, and we like short answers on TEMA Talk. So what's the difference between that and, say, a stylist?
Yeah, there's sometimes confusion about those terms. It's really the sort of definition of the roles. In essence, a stylist is concerned mainly with fashion and updating a client's wardrobe with the latest trends. Or it may be a stylist maybe for a photo shoot in a magazine where they'll put together the looks for the models. So that's really what a stylist does. She curates outfits for a client, whatever that client would be. An image consultant really does a lot more than that, in the sense that it's all about dealing with the personality of the client, the lifestyle. So they need to almost get into the client's head, if you will, to understand what their goals are, what they want to achieve. And it can be not just about appearance, it can be behaviors, communication, etiquette skills, what their goal is. You have to know that at the outset, and that's the journey that you're taking with them and helping them get there.
How did you get into this business? I mean, who
Yeah.
wakes up of a morning and goes, I'm going to look after people's image and their branding? How did all that happen?
And that's a really good question, because not many people do wake up in the morning and think that. But I was brought up in a household that everybody sewed. And so from a very early age, I was making my own clothes. And you learn very quickly, well, maybe not at 5 years old, but certainly as you get older, you do learn that certain fabrics enhance your coloring. You learn that if you cut a fabric in a certain way, it makes you look taller. And, you know, the reverse of that, if you cut it in a different way, it, you know, has the opposite effect. So you sort of, I think for me, I got this inherent understanding of what worked for my shape. I mean, you know, I sometimes broke those rules, but I grew up understanding that what looked good on my friend didn't necessarily look good on me. So going shopping with friends, which was the natural progression, I would help them pick out things that I just knew would look good on them. And then throughout my corporate life, I found that weekends were being spent because a colleague would say, oh, you're good with color, or you're good at finding things. You have a really good eye for things. Could you help me at the weekend find something for a wedding, christening, special event, whatever? So I found that most of my weekends were spent doing this without really, you know, not formally, but informally. And I thought, well, this has potential, and I loved doing it. And then I got the opportunity. There was a massive global reorganization in my corporate life, and I had the opportunity to actually take that leap of faith and go and do it. And there were various training modules, because again, it's one thing that you think, I'm quite good at this. It's another thing when somebody else verifies that you are. So I took various training modules, and my only thought then was, why didn't I do this sooner?
Right. What are some of the misconceptions about what you do? When you talk to people, when you meet someone in a restaurant, in a bar, and you say, oh, I'm a style and image consultant, what are some of the misconceptions that they have?
Well, very often the first thing that somebody will say is, oh, I'd love your job. I'd love to spend all day shopping with other people. No. Well, you probably wouldn't enjoy spending all day shopping with somebody, because actually it's not a girly day out. I mean, I make it fun, but if personal shopping is part of that process, and usually it's the last part of a process for a client, if that's the direction we're going in, it's planned like a military operation. So I make it fun, but it's certainly not a girly day out where we're just enjoying wandering around the shops. It's planned like a military operation, because my objective is to get the best things for that client by the end of a given time period. But that's usually the first reaction. Oh, I'd love to go shopping with people all the time. So it's not really, it's more of a confusion, perhaps. They don't really understand the role. And again, various clients will describe me in different ways depending how they've interacted with me. If, say, I've done some etiquette training for a corporation, that's how they'll see me, and that's how they'll present me, which is fine, because it's all part of that role.
Right. Now, you said you used a phrase "girly day out" at least twice in the last few minutes. Are all your clients female? Do you only work with women?
No, not at all. I love actually working with men, and it's fair to say that probably there's a sort of 70%, 30% mix. You know, female oriented 70% and then male 30%. But working with men is fantastic. I love it. It is a different dynamic working with men. I find that men often can be, they sometimes have fixed ideas about what they want. Oh yes, no. There's a surprise. I wonder where that comes from. But my tactic there is, okay, let's find what you think you look good in, and then just indulge me here. Let me put you in something that I think you would look good in. And then it's like when they see the difference there, it's like, okay, you're right, wrap it, pack it, ship it, you know, whatever. It's sometimes and it's almost, I won't say it's a quicker process with men, but they just want to look good. They want it for a certain purpose. That's it. It's usually a shorter process. in the final analogy.
Right, right. Now, over the last few months, we've gone through this entire pandemic scenario.
Yes.
The way we engage with people has completely changed. The Zoom conference, the world of Zoom, the world of Skype has escalated. I mean, we're on Zoom right now. And so how important is how you look, and what sort of rules, and how has the game changed since this has all taken part? Because really now we live in a world of waist up, right?
Well, it's certainly changed, and I think people's ideas have changed too. So somebody wouldn't dream of going to work previously in sweatpants and a hoodie, but now that's okay for a team meeting. But I think it's getting to the point where we have to recognize that this is the way the future will be. And even, you know, once we get through this pandemic, it's going to take a long time for things to be back as they were. And in many cases, I don't think that companies are going to have so many staff on site. So the virtual meetings are going to be the new normal, to kind of sort of hackneyed phrase, but they are. And I think people have to understand that you still have an audience. You know, if you're having a meeting, if you're having an interaction with somebody other than your friends and your family, it's still a meeting. It's still a professional interaction, and you need to look at that way. And certainly if clients are involved, absolutely. To me, there's no difference. Now, yes, am I wearing my heels at this moment? No, I'm not. But if I were having a particularly tricky meeting, then I might put them on, because it gives me that extra boost of confidence. I think what happens is people think, well, this is great because it's comfy, we can have these meetings and I can do them from my spare room, whatever that might be. But there is a mindset shift as well. When we're actually feeling a bit more comfortable, maybe we're not as perceptive, or maybe we're not, if we don't feel as professional because we don't look as professional, then that's going to come across somehow. And maybe it's just about confidence, because really, you know, what I do is all about elevating somebody's levels of confidence. And if something doesn't make you feel confident, sitting in schlumpy clothes isn't going to make you feel confident.
Right. Are there any rules? Are there any little hints and tips that you would give people now? You know, don't just roll out of bed and roll onto your first Zoom meeting, right? I mean, it might sound like a basic, but you and I have both encountered it over the last few months.
Oh, yes. In fact, I was on a Zoom meeting yesterday with 20 other people, and it was really very interesting. People hadn't even considered what was in the background. So there was some interesting things going on in the background. And people weren't aware of that. Or there is a mirror, you know, they have a wardrobe with a mirror, and as you do there, and what that was reflecting, you know, you could see a pile of stuff. You could see a pile of stuff jumped in one case, just jumped on somebody's bed. It's like, okay, they haven't seen how that looks from here. So I think you just have to be super mindful of those things, and it takes practice. Maybe you have to just do a what do we call it? Just a sort of pretend call, a practice call with somebody, just to see almost what they're seeing. So, but yeah, this part is really important. I mean, this part is always really important when you're interacting with somebody, because this is the bit that you talk to. This is everything around it. I always say that your face is a picture and everything around it is the frame. So you want everything around the frame to enhance the picture. So to draw focus to the picture, and never is that more important than on these Zoom calls. This is kind of really key, what goes on here.
Right. Now, great bits of advice, thank you. I want to change tact a little bit, because I know that you've had a major shift and a major change in what you do since the coronavirus pandemic. Now, you work from a home office and have done for forever, just like me. So neither of us had when the working from home thing came about. I know we both looked at each other and sort of went, well, you know, what's new here? We've been doing it for, you know, in my case, over 30 years. So we were completely used to it. But we had a situation where, in essence, the whole of America was sent home, right? The vast majority, 90% of America was sent home and say, stay at home and we'll do what we can and we'll get you back to work as quickly as you can. And I know that you had a little bit of an epiphany, a bit of a thought, and I want you to share that story with everybody. What happened?
So, as you know, my two passions in life, other than you, Mr. Gibbons, are sewing and knitting. And knitting in particular is something that I like to do of an evening when we're watching something on Netflix, or, you know, I like to keep my hands busy, and I love to knit. I used to have a yarn store, so that's inherently there in me. And I was sitting there knitting one day, and I'd been kind of ruminating on this for a while, thinking, well, you know, with everybody at home, people are taking up new skills, or maybe they're getting those knitting needles out again. Perhaps they've never been able to knit, but now will be a chance if we're at home and we can still buy things online. So maybe I'll do a Facebook Live and teach people how to knit. And I do remember sitting there, you know, mid-row and saying to you, you know, I've had a thought. And I do also remember the eye roll that was presented with, because it's like, oh, what's she thinking of now? I said, I think I'm going to teach people to knit on Facebook Live. And your reaction was exactly as I expected it to be. You said, okay, well, we better make that happen then. And so that was whatever day of the week it was. And by, I think, Tuesday of the next week, there was Facebook Live #1 of Knitter Matters. And I have been stunned, absolutely stunned, with how it's taken off. And it's not meant to be slick. It's meant to just teach people how to knit, which I do. And it's up to half an hour on a Tuesday. And I'm amazed at the response. People have seemed to really like it. So much so that I got a call one day just before I was about to go live from one of the local TV stations who had seen this come up on Facebook, and they wanted a story that was a bit more of good news. And so they interviewed me just before I was going to do the Facebook Live, and they thought it was a great idea, and they did a really nice piece. I mean, who would have thought? It's been phenomenal, and I'm thrilled to bits with it. I couldn't be happier.
Now, you're being a bit modest here, I know, because we're talking to you from your little your studio at home, and we can see some yarns and some knitting needles, yes, and your knitting model in the background there. Once this thing started to get traction, and we're talking about 0 to thousands of views almost within a couple of episodes, am I right?
Yes,
I mean, it went out. Hasn't things also moved on? I mean, you had the television coverage, but another exciting thing has come along as well. Is that correct?
Yes. I had a connection with the US's one of their major yarn and craft suppliers, and reached out to that connection basically. And now there's a sort of a collaboration with them, which is very exciting.
Good for you. Good for you. So the thing is that my takeaway, and I want, our viewers' takeaway to be, is from what was a point of lockdown, a point of everybody's got to do nothing, and I hate that term lockdown, but in essence, that's where everybody's
in quarantine, really. Yeah,
we were all in quarantine with just a little bit of abstract thinking, a little bit of saying to yourself, what am I good at? What can I do? All of a sudden, what appears to be the birth of a new business, a new venture, a new journey has come around in literally a few weeks. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, last Tuesday was week 11, so it's 11 weeks in, and it was only less than a week before that I thought of the idea. And you know, I think that's the wonderful thing with social media. We can do these things, and I didn't want it to be something that people would have to go out and buy a lot of equipment or anything like that, because of course we can't go out at the moment. And even though we can order things online, it's taken a bit longer for things to come. And I was very mindful that, you know, people don't want to spend a lot of money if they're in quarantine. They don't know what the future's going to be. But I wanted to bring about that sort of the therapeutic effect. And there's been lots of studies showing that, you know, people that craft and knit and sew have, you know, it's a real stress reducer. And that's been the subject of many studies, and it's proven to be the case. I mean, knitters have known that for years. But until you drop a bunch of stitches, and then it is stressful. But hey ho, you know, there's no swearing in knitting until there is, you know. But I wanted this to be something that people could do with what they had to hand, or at least, at the very least, that they could see if it would be something that they might enjoy doing, and then they could order their stuff or whatever. So I didn't want it to be a big production number. I wanted it to be simple. I wanted it to be easy. I wanted it to be exactly as it was, sort of off the cuff, if you will. But I have been, it was that thing that I thought, there is something I can do here. And I'm, you know, I have a knowledge base. At 7 years old, I wanted to be a teacher. Years ago, I wanted to be a teacher. I was never really sure what I was going to teach. But, you know, all these years later, I'm now finding that I'm much better at teaching than I ever thought I would be, because I have, you may not agree with this, but I do have more patience. And I'm waiting for the eye roll. I do have more patience, and I think I'm better at explaining things now than I would ever have been. So to me, it's a privilege to do it. It's a joy to do it. And when I get little messages from people saying, I've been able to knit for the first time ever, thank you. It's just, oh, it's wonderful. It gets me here. It really does.
Now, you did say that knitting is a passion and has been a passion, but we can go a little bit deeper than that, because you did actually have your own yarn shop. Is that right?
I did, yes, unbelievably. It was over 30 years ago now, in Brighton, England. I know. Well, I wasn't a child when I started it, of course, but yeah, it was called Yomo, Yomo, which actually is the Japanese translation of wool. It means hair of the sheep. And I started that because it was, now knitting sort of goes in and out of vogue. Again, it's very cool and trendy again now. To knitters, it's never been out of vogue. But what happened there was, I would go into fabric shops, and it's all cool and trendy, and the fabric is displayed beautifully, and it's a fabulous place to be. Yarn shops at that point, there were very few yarn shops that I went in that I thought, I want to spend time here. You know, they just weren't, they didn't have the same image in my mind as a fabric shop. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to make it trendy. I wanted to make it cool. And I think even though I say so myself, I do think I achieved that. Because for one thing, the one thing I did that I'd never seen done before, I color blocked all the yarn. So you had this amazing sort of show of color as soon as you walked in, which just drew people in. So even if you didn't know what I was selling, it kind of drew people in. But yeah, I loved having a yarn shop. I really did.
And now I can see the natural progression now. So there's clearly a synergy that the whole textile image, fabric has just played a major part in your life.
Yeah.
Well, talking about a major part in Cheryl's life, anybody that watches TEMA Talk on a regular basis will know that we like to have a little bit of fun with our guests. And Cheryl, Cheryl's going to be no exception. No. I'm not going to pull any punches or give her any slack, just because of she happens to be also Mrs. Gibbons. So I've got my quick question sheet in front of me, which she hasn't seen, and she doesn't know what's coming.
Oh no!
I'm going to start asking her a few questions, and we'll see where it takes us. And
you didn't tell me you were going to do this.
Right. Well, hey, I hope you've watched all.
Of course, every single one of them.
Right. Absolutely. So you'll know, and let's move on. All right. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. What's the best piece of business advice you've ever been given?
Oh gosh, the best piece of business advice. I think probably along the lines of listen to everybody, ask opinions, listen to everybody, and then make a judgment, make a decision based on a very reasoned approach.
Okay. What's your biggest mistake that you've made in business? That like never again?
Oh, thinking I could do everything. Yeah, not being able to let go. And I'm thinking back to yarn shop days when the people would want to order sweaters to be knitted, and I would try and do them all myself, and then I realized very quickly I couldn't do that, so I had to sort of engage other people to do it. I had to let go of that sort of particular baby.
Right.
I had to be in control of it, but I still had to pass it on to other people.
Oh, interesting. So that's got to lead me on to the question now. Does Cheryl like being in control or in charge?
I think I like being in control of whatever that might be. Otherwise, I feel the reins are running away with me, and then I get overwhelmed.
All right. Okay. How does Cheryl deal with feelings of self-doubt or the imposter syndrome? You know, when that little voice sits on your shoulder, no, you don't want to do that, Cheryl. You shouldn't be doing this, Cheryl.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah. I usually kind of talk it out. I'll take, yeah, I do. I think a lot of, hate to say this, but I think a lot of women in business have this problem too. You know, we'll listen to that one little voice of doubt where we don't hear the 10 other voices of affirmation. So yeah, I do, I'm getting better at that, but I have to talk it through with somebody else. Yeah, or maybe a couple of people.
Which words or phrases do you most overuse?
Oh, I use so a lot, SO, and I probably shouldn't. And I use a lot, and I know I shouldn't.
All right. Okay. What's your most marked characteristic?
I try and be optimistic. I try and have a fairly sunny disposition because I feel better if I do that. I don't like being miserable.
Okay. Favorite song or tune to get you hyped, to get you worked up, to get Cheryl in the mood, to get Cheryl in the go mode?
Oh yeah, something really with a terrific beat. My current obsession is the Nathaniel Ratcliffe and the Night Sweats, the SOB, the son of a bitch. Am I allowed to say that? The son of a bitch.
Too late now, you've said it.
Yeah, I've said it. I love it.
All right. What other talent, other than the ones that you have, would you most like to have?
I'd like to be able to speak a language fluently. I think, yeah.
Okay.
I love English, but somehow the picking up the language gene didn't come to me very well. So yeah, I would like to be able to speak another language.
What trait do you most deplore in yourself?
Procrastination.
And what trait do you deplore most in others?
Dishonesty.
Okay. What do you value most in a friend or business colleague?
Honesty. The ability to, tell me that that's not the right way to do it, or that's not the best way to do it, and still be a friend.
Okay. Favorite cocktail?
Oh, a G&T, preferably Hendrix. Drink a gin with fever tree tonic and a spear of cucumber.
Okay. Favorite quote?
Oh gosh. Favorite quote. There's so many and I can't think of one.
All right. Favorite hero of fiction?
Well, I'm obsessed with the Outlander books at the moment, so it's got to be. Not Claire. It's probably got to be Jamie in that.
All right. Which living person do you most admire?
I really admire the Queen because of what she's been through. She's 93 or 94. She has, think what she has seen in her life. Think how many, I'd love to know some of the conversations that went on with her prime ministers, and she's seen many of them. So yeah, I admire she's got up every day, and her sense of duty is phenomenal.
Okay. What's your favourite business word?
Oh gosh. Success.
Okay. What's Cheryl's idea of misery?
Oh, being locked up in four concrete walls with no music, no flowers, no colour.
What's Cheryl's idea of heaven?
Oh, colour, fabric, music, flowers, lovely.
All right, last one. Here's the big one.
Oh,
If this program could connect you with anyone, any one person, prince, queen, potentate, prime minister, pauper, pop star, it doesn't matter, anybody.
okay.
And people don't even have to know who they are.
Right.
Who do you want to watch this and say, get me Cheryl Lampard on the phone?
Right. Grace Coddington springs to mind. She worked very closely with Vogue magazine for many years, and I've read several of her books, and I think she's had a fascinating life. She would style all those amazing magical photo shoots for Vogue and many other things too, but she's just had a very interesting life. She would be so interesting. Yeah.
Grace, call her.
Grace.
Soon as it's all over, pick up the phone, text her, email her.
Yeah.
Let's get this done.
Yeah.
So
let's have a cup of tea, Grace.
If Grace does want to contact you or anybody else, Cheryl, how can they get hold of you?
Yes, absolutely. They can contact me through my website, which is www.stylemattersinternational.com, or through Knitter Matters. That's if they want to catch me through there. Or I'm on Facebook, again, Style Matters International, or just as Cheryl Lampard.
All right, that's great. Cheryl, thank you for taking time out of what I know is a very busy schedule. And that's it, everybody. Another 30 minutes of business banter and badinage has just flown by, thanks to our guest again, Cheryl Lampard. I want to thank the team at Guerrilla Media for twiddling all the knobs and working their magic to make all of this happen. I want to thank you for watching and listening. And don't forget to visit TEMA's Video Vault of Wisdom at thirdeyemanagement.com, where you can share all the other TEMA talks and episodes with you. And we're going to give you episodes and strategies and tactics on how to grow your business. So until the next time we meet, I want you to stay safe. I want you to stay in touch. And most importantly, I want you to stay profitable. And with that, we are